What's up? Um, this is in response to, well, not really response because nobody was talking to me, but um, I'm making this video to kind of, put my own piece in there about the Colin Kaepernick situation because it applies to my own prerogative, my own mission. Well, okay, and it also includes Stephen A. Smith. Um, but I'm more so looking towards like reaching out for support, um, not financial necessarily, but I don't think I need to really go into that. It's not really so important, but support from people like Colin Kaepernick, people like J. Cole. You know what I'm saying? Because I believe that they have a way of going about um, promoting their own mission that is somehow similar to my own. What I mean by that is that recently, I guess over this past weekend, Colin Kaepernick had a workout with 25 NFL teams, the Atlanta Falcons facility, and based off of semantics, um, you know, that didn't go down, and so the Kaepernick camp relocated the workout to a local high school in Atlanta that was 51 miles away, according to Stephen A. Smith on First Take, or Stephen A. Smith Show. Anyway, um, the word that I want to focus on right now is the word explicit. I did use the word semantics earlier. And when you juxtapose those two words, you see that semantics are, they're somehow shaky, you know what I'm saying? Because they're just like words that you're using to somehow confuse or, as Stephen A. Smith said about Colin Kaepernick, kind of like write your own narrative. And, I don't have any problem with Stephen A. Smith. When I initially heard or was reading about what he had to say, I didn't really even look at the videos initially, a couple of days ago, 2, 3 days, because I was just like, man, more ratings or whatever. But when I heard what he said initially, I think he was talking about, okay, yeah, he said that Colin Kaepernick doesn't want a job or he doesn't want to play football. And really, now that I remember, what really made me go and watch those videos of Stephen A. Smith was that my own dog, he's white. When I call him a dog, or my dog, I'm sorry, not a dog, he's not a dog. When I call him my dog, it just means that he's my brother. Is that my brother on Facebook, he posted, I guess, the video of Colin Kaepernick after the workout at the local Atlanta high school. And my dog, he was like, Kaepernick doesn't want to play football. And, I'm going to go back to that word explicit. When I was thinking of it, this was like towards the end of the video of Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, I think Howard Bryant. Um, I was just thinking towards the end of that video, probably around like 650, 655 of that video, I was thinking that, well, uh, I mean, all this sounds like, semantics. It's an issue of semantics. And, for me, Colin Kaepernick is being pretty explicit. And I feel the more explicit that he is, the better. But what I was thinking about that word explicit is, raps, because I love raps, and I love Spike Lee movies, or R-rated movie. I don't necessarily love R-rated movies, but like I'm just using this as all these as examples of the word explicit. I I know what the word explicit means, like off top. I have my own definition of the word explicit, meaning that it's just kind of like some raw shit. Basically, is what explicit meant to me. But then I went and looked it up, and explicit means that you said some shit where you left no doubt as to what you were intending to do. You know what I'm saying? So being explicit is actually a great thing. And after I looked at that definition, it just makes me further believe that censorship is so terrible. Secrecy, a lack of spreading information is just like the worst thing. Like, we should all as humanity strive to be explicit so that, there's no confusion or doubt as to exactly like what is going on. But I guess just to kind of like close, I just want to speak on people compromising themselves because in my introduction to entrepreneurship book that I read, a couple of years ago, um, they have a quote there by Bill Clinton, which is that we have reached a stage, I'm paraphrasing, is that we have reached a stage in our common humanity whereby something like we can solve all of our societal ills as humanity, or the vast majority of them that we have been dealing with since Adam and Eve and since Cain killed Abel. You know, we have that right now. You know, all that is stopping us from doing these things are the mistrust, or is the mistrust that has been sown into our relationships with ourselves since I was in Africa, you were in South America, he was in, Eastern Europe or Asia or wherever, you know, the mistrust and then interacting with ourselves and just meeting ourselves however many years ago we started to do that globally, not, within our own geographic regions, you know. So my point basically is that in compromising ourselves, for things like a job, all right, I have a cousin in Africa right now that is, the same age as me. And because I'm an American, he's in Africa, you know, I have less than no money to my name, and he doesn't have too much. I mean, like, I see him on, he doesn't really eat that much. Like, not, I'm sure it's not out of choice, but like, because like he has to manage himself, like he really doesn't, like his draws hang off his body at times, And I'm not downing him. I'm just saying that in compromising myself, well, I don't compromise myself, but when people compromise themselves, they will turn their backs on their families. Howard Bryant was talking about that he and Stephen A. Smith are two black men that work in corporate America, and he and Stephen A. Smith know what they had to compromise, or what they had to, kind of set aside for them to be able to, work in corporate America, or in the corporate world. Let me not even say corporate America. And this goes into something like education. Some of you all may know, I'm sure not everybody knows, that, I went to the University of Tennessee, and I was actually kicked out of the University of Tennessee, like involuntarily. I was involuntarily made to withdraw from the university because I protested against, some wrongs that I felt were done to me by the athletic department. Um, and and due to that fact, that was probably like my third year at the university level, academically. I had gone through ups and downs. I had a need-based scholarship at the University of Tennessee anyway. I'm from Antioch, Tennessee. I went to Antioch. I graduated from Antioch High School. I'm sorry. So, I'm coming from, a background of more or less lack. There are others that went to the university. I'm sorry. There are other kids from Antioch High School that went to the University of Tennessee as well. And I'm not saying that, all of them came from the same socioeconomic background that I did, but that they graduated. They graduated coming from Antioch High School, and whether they came from the same economic background as I did or their economic background was different from mine. But my point here is that for them to have gotten their university degrees, I mean, they worked hard for it, and more power to them, you know. But I've had people tell me, for example, like, and I'm using this as the, Colin Kaepernick doesn't want to play football. There are people that will tell you that I just don't want, like, to get my degree, you know. And that's just not the case. Nowadays you got Tennessee Reconnect. I could go to school for free, you know. But my issue with going back to school, and I'm sure like this probably has, if Kaepernick does want to play football, because none of us know his mind, because he has not been explicit, is that if I wanted to go back to school, which I don't want to go back to school, I don't want to be in an environment whereby I have to compromise myself in terms of I am a god, you are a god. your institution was set up uh, for the society to, you know, become better by educating its human resources. You know, it's a public university, whether it's a public or private university, I don't really give a fuck. So far as the institution of education, you're set up to ameliorate the society, whether, you know, you have money making, you know, a money making prerogative or whatever. But um, it's just that for me to go back to school, it would it would compromise who I am as a god. You know, information should be free, right? Knowledge should be free, and you should get nothing in return at all for educating the populace. The return on educating the populace is that the society grows, and that should be the only return on you providing education and knowledge to the populace. Anything else is pimping, it's slavery. You know what I'm saying? And so I can understand Colin Kaepernick and his camp being like, no, we're not going to sign this liability waiver because although, you know, the workout was set up under extraordinary circumstances, and I'm not defending Kaepernick here. I'm not defending him. He can defend himself. He's a grown man. You know, I'm just letting you know that you as an individual making comments on these types of things, you need to make informed comments. You know, I'm not downing my dog either because, you know, everybody has the background they come from, which is why it's all very wild. And that which is also why I'm going to end this rant, you know, as soon as I can, probably by 12:30. It's 11:44 now of time of the video. But, you know, even my dog, you know, we all need to take a step back and accept that we are all gods, you know, and kind of understand what we are the God of, you know, knowing our job, you know, knowing our work, you know, not necessarily our employment job or our employment work, but knowing, uh, you know, what gear in the unified mechanism we are and what we are responsible for. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like staying in your lane, but at the same time, as a God, you have the right and the flexibility to kind of be whatever gear or step in whatever lane you so choose to, so far as you are willing to learn, you know? And so, in conclusion, what I'm basically saying is that the NFL is an institution set up to entertain fans through the game of football. The NFL is not, to my own understanding, the NFL is not employing Colin Kaepernick. And the 32 owners are the ones employing Colin Kaepernick. But at the same time, let's get one thing straight here. Professional athletes in America are extraordinary employees. They're extraordinary employees to the point whereby I, as an owner, would feel like a dick walking up, even if I got $128 billion as an owner. I would feel like a huge dick running up on like a athlete worth $100 million, worth $50 million, because although you know, the nature of employment as a professional athlete in America, making that much money, is it's not like I'm a doctor. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like a medical doctor. You know what I'm saying? A medical doctor is employed. You know what I'm saying? He's an employee. You know what I'm saying? But even as an employee in any organization, whether it's the NFL or fucking Goodwill or fucking Dollar General or fucking Walmart, you know, we know that employers don't care about their employees generally. And the NFL of the professional sports leagues in America probably has the worst track record of taking care of its employees. You know what I'm saying? So I think that we need to seriously take a look at a new form of ideology that still keeps, you know, the basic tenets of capitalism, which for me, capitalism just means that, you know, you capitalize on situations, you know, opportunity, you know, to maximize profit. And for me, communism or socialism just means that, you know, it's just the facts of life. Communism is a fact of life. For me, it's not a political ideology. And capitalism as well is a fact of life. So I think we just need to find a new way to morph facts of life so that, you know, we can do what we're gonna do anyway, you know, which is, you know, interlock everything and, try to make a streamlined system so, you know, we don't find so many clogs of, you know, bureaucracy, you know, in getting things done. You know, we could streamline everything, you know. So I think that we just need to take a look at, you know, real life things that are quote unquote ideologies like capitalism and communism, and we just need to, we just need to be explicit and leave out the confusion, you know, and, you know, enlighten our fellow brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.